The grand ballroom sparkled with crystal chandeliers as Marcus wiped down the gleaming piano in the center of the room. At 52, he had worked as a janitor at the prestigious Riverside Hotel for nearly 20 years. His yellow cleaning gloves were as much a part of him as the quiet dignity he carried in every step. Tonight was the annual charity gala, and the wealthy elite filled the room in their finest attire. Marcus worked silently, invisible to most, simply another face in the background of their glittering world. Eleanor Whitmore stood near the piano, her red silk dress catching the light. At 48, she was newly divorced from tech billionaire Richard Langford, who stood across the room, surrounded by admirers. The divorce had been bitter, and Richard never missed a chance to belittle her. "Ladies and gentlemen," Richard announced loudly, his voice dripping with condescension. "My dear ex-wife Eleanor here claims she wants to remarry for love this time, not money. Isn't that precious?" The crowd murmured uncomfortably. Eleanor felt her cheeks flush, but she held her head high. Richard continued, gesturing dramatically toward the grand piano. "Eleanor, darling, here's my challenge to you. If anyone here can play this piano, truly play it with soul and passion, you should marry them. Let's see if your precious love is worth more than my fortune." The room fell silent. Eleanor's hands trembled slightly, but she surprised everyone, including herself. "You know what, Richard? I accept. If someone here can play this piano and move my heart, I would consider it. Because unlike you, I believe real connection matters more than bank accounts." Richard laughed mockingly. "Oh, this should be entertaining. Any takers? Come on, don't be shy." Several men in tuxedos approached, each attempting to play. The notes came out clumsy and mechanical. Some could barely manage a simple melody. Richard laughed louder with each failed attempt. Marcus continued cleaning nearby, his movement steady and calm. Music had been his first love, long before life had taken him down a different path. His mother had been a piano teacher, and she had taught him to see music not as notes on a page, but as the language of the soul. "What about you?" Richard suddenly called out, pointing at Marcus. "The help wants to try. This is priceless." Marcus looked up, meeting Richard's mocking gaze. For a moment, he considered walking away. But then he saw Eleanor's face, the hurt and humiliation in her eyes, and something stirred in his chest. Not for romance, not for pride, but for the simple dignity that every person deserves. "May I?" Marcus asked quietly, directing his question to Eleanor, not Richard. Eleanor nodded, curiosity replacing the hurt in her eyes. Marcus carefully removed his yellow gloves and set them aside. He approached the piano bench and sat down. His fingers hovered over the keys for a moment, and then he began to play. The first notes of Chopin's Nocturne in E-flat major filled the ballroom. But this was not a simple recital. Marcus poured 20 years of quiet dignity into those keys. He poured his mother's memory, the sacrifices he had made, the dreams he had set aside to raise his daughter alone after his wife passed. Every note carried the weight of a life fully lived, even if it wasn't lived in the spotlight. The room transformed. Conversations stopped. Glasses were set down. Even Richard's smug expression faded into stunned silence. Eleanor moved closer, tears streaming down her face. The music spoke of loss and resilience, of finding beauty in unexpected places, of the quiet strength it takes to keep going when the world overlooks you. When the final note faded, the silence lasted several heartbeats before the room erupted in applause. Eleanor approached Marcus, her voice thick with emotion. "That was extraordinary. Where did you learn to play like that?" Marcus stood, his voice gentle. "My mother taught me. She believed music was the one true language that everyone understands, regardless of who they are or where they come from." Richard tried to interject, but Eleanor raised her hand. "I made a promise, and I keep my promises, unlike some people. But more than that, I've just been reminded that worth has nothing to do with job titles or bank accounts." She turned to Marcus. "I don't know you, and I'm not proposing marriage to a stranger. But I would very much like to know the men who can speak such truth through music. Would you join me for coffee sometime?" Marcus smiled, a genuine warmth in his eyes. "I'd like that. Though I should mention, my daughter would want to meet you first. She's in medical school, and she's my greatest achievement." Eleanor laughed, a real laugh, free and joyful. "I'd expect nothing less from a man who values what truly matters." As Marcus gathered his cleaning supplies to continue his work, several guests approached him, asking about his music, treating him with a respect he had rarely received in this building. Richard slipped out quietly, his moment of cruelty turned into a lesson he would struggle to understand. 3 months later, Marcus and Eleanor were still meeting for coffee every Saturday morning. They talked about music and art, about raising children and losing loved ones, about dreams deferred and hopes renewed. No marriage proposal came, because they both understood that real connection takes time to build. But they had found something rarer than romance, genuine friendship and mutual respect between two people who had learned that life's greatest riches cannot be displayed or purchased. Marcus still worked as a janitor, but he had started giving free piano lessons to children in his neighborhood on weekends. Eleanor had started a foundation supporting arts education in underfunded schools. And sometimes, late at night when the ballroom was empty, Marcus would play again, and Eleanor would listen, both of them grateful for the unexpected ways life teaches us what truly matters. The piano sat in that ballroom still, a silent witness to the truth that dignity, talent, and worth are not determined by the clothes we wear or the titles we hold, but by the content of our character and the authenticity of our hearts. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe for more inspiring tales. Leave a comment below telling us about a time when someone surprised you by showing unexpected talent or depth. Your story might inspire someone else today.